Good evening. This is a call to order for the Policy, Personnel, and Contracts Committee. Today's date is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. The time now is 6:48 p.m. In attendance is myself, Christine Baptiste Perez, Chair, and committee member committee member Andre Woodson. In attendance is board member Joseph Sokolovic, as well as Secretary of the Board, Ms. Jennifer Perez. The first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the Personnel and Contracts Committee dated November 28th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Seeing that there's no motion to approve the minutes will not be approved. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the Governance Committee dated October 18th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the Governance Committee? Seeing that there is no motion, the Governance Committee meetings has not passed. We'll move down to the next item on the agenda, which is discussion and possible referral to the full board for approval to enter into an agreement with Relay. I believe there's representatives online for Relay.
Yes, hello, everybody. Can you hear and see me?
Yes.
Awesome. It's great to meet everybody. My name is Tim Maines. I'm the Managing Director of Partnerships for Relay Graduate School of Education. I'm very excited to be here with all of you today to share some high-level overview of a proposed scope of work that we have been developing in collaboration with Drs. Avery and Levy David, and we're really excited to share some of those highlights with you today. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I have a couple of slides to guide our conversation today. Okay, great. Can you give me a thumbs up, the people who are live in the room? Can you see my screen? Awesome, sounds great. Okay, so as I said, I'm really excited to be here with all of you to share a little bit more detail about Relay Graduate School of Education and our impact, along with an overview of our proposed multi-year scope of work to support the leaders, teachers, and students of Bridgeport. So the proposal that we've developed in collaboration with Drs. Avery and Levy David is aligned with your district's priorities of developing teacher capacity, immersing the district in instructional leadership practices, and introducing instructional frameworks to improve Tier 1 instruction. And before I dive into the specifics of the proposal itself, I wanted to share a little bit more about Relay, who we are here at Relay Graduate School of Education, and the work that we do in partnership with other K-12 institutions around the country, which will help frame the proposed scope of work. So at Relay, we had created our professional education programs 11 years ago, and since inception, we have trained over 9,500 leaders through our year-long fellowship programs and our regional training programs. And you can see on the screen that our participants consistently provide feedback to us, not only about the high quality of our content, but how our content is able to have a direct impact on their day-to-day work and the outcomes for their students. In addition to our leadership programs, Relay Professional Education also launched a suite of teacher professional education programs back in 2019. And since then, we've trained over 20,000 leaders around the country. And you can see on the screen, we've received similarly positive feedback from those teacher participants. And at Relay, excuse me, all of our programs are designed to do a couple of things. One is center equitable practice in service of creating inclusive conditions where all students can thrive. And we honor the research and provide actionable frameworks that are proven to drive success for all students. And I'll speak a little bit more about that research in a minute. And then, of course, we're grounded here at Relay in practice and feedback. So we believe that teaching and leadership are performance professions, and the best way to master a new skill is to have the time to practice it and hone it before deploying it out in the field. So to share a little bit more about that, the research-backed frameworks that are represented in the middle bubble there, all of our frameworks that we use at Relay are based off the Leverage Leadership, Get Better, Faster scope and sequence developed by Paul Bambrick-Santoyo. And those frameworks were developed based off action research from the highest performing principals and supervisors from around the country. So the team studied the nexus between the highest performing schools with the lowest economic statuses and developed frameworks based off what they found that those schools were all doing to truly move the needle for students. And these frameworks have worked and supported improvements in student outcomes with partners from around the country and different partner types. So we've seen success with these frameworks with partners who are single site charter schools all the way to really large districts like New York City public schools. And we also want to note that that research is ongoing. We continuously update our frameworks based off the real world success that we're seeing in our partner schools around the country. I also want to give examples of a few case studies where we've seen really direct positive results with our partners around the country. The first partnership I wanted to quickly highlight is our multi-year partnership with DCPS. And this is a similar scope and sequence to what we are developing and proposing in terms of how we can support the leaders, teachers, and students in Bridgeport. So since we began working with DCPS, we are training over 700 leaders throughout the district through a multi-year scope of work that is very similar to the proposal that we've developed for Bridgeport. And that proposed scope of work is designed to build alignment across the district around key instructional frameworks. And that partnership includes professional development and relay coaching support that for DCPS is dosed at the instructional superintendent level and really designed to plan and execute the systems that are required to develop a really impactful coaching structure throughout the entire district. And you can see on the screen some really exciting results of the schools who are participating in the relay cohort. They have seen growth in both their ELA and math proficiencies. And we're really excited to continue that work with our partners in DCPS. And I'm happy to share this presentation virtually, and there's a link to more details about our partnership with DCPS. The other partnership I wanted to highlight is our partnership with Pueblo School District 60 in Colorado. And back in 2017, the district was identified as one of the lowest performing schools in the state, and their student achievement ranked in the bottom 20% of both ELA and math. And they were targeted as a school within the state who needed turnaround support. And we were very honored that they chose us as their turnaround support partner. And we began working in 2017 on a multi-year partnership, focusing on really diverse and tailored supports based on their needs and targeted to 3 school campuses that they identified had the highest need. And you can see here on the screen results and findings that we had from our multi-year partnership with Pueblo. And I really wanted to highlight numbers 3 and 4. That since partnering with Relay, the schools have seen gains in student achievement in both ELA and math. And all of the schools that are working with Relay are on a trajectory for improved student school turnaround status. So we're really excited about this work that we do in partnership with DCPS and Pueblo, and excited about the opportunity to see similar results and gains in partnership with Bridgeport. And now I want to provide a little bit more detail regarding our specific proposed scope of work. And that proposed scope of work is really grounded in our framework for effective school leadership, which is our theory of action here at Relay. So we have seen success and design our partnerships around this framework. That when vertically aligned teams of district leaders, school leadership, and teachers all experience high quality professional development, this then builds their skill in the core practices, the proven practices that we know support all students. And then alongside a Relay coach, the skills are honed and refined in order to build out the key systems and structures that are needed to spread that effective practice across an entire system. And then with effective implementation, those systems and practices can drive increased use and efficacy of those core and proven practices to support all students. So when taken together, what we see with this framework is improved student outcomes, as I've noted in the case studies on the previous slides. So we've really found that the catalyst for change in a system, especially a large system, is highly engaged leaders like you all have at your district team, investing in a really strong foundation of PD, and then supporting that professional development through customized and focused coaching that is focused on the specific needs of the district leaders, the school leaders, and the teachers. So with this general framing, I wanted to provide a high-level overview of the components of our proposed scope of work. And our proposal is designed around 3 core pillars, which will roll out intentionally each year of partnership. Those pillars are, number 1, district level supports. As I mentioned, that's where we've seen the most impact, is if there's investment and initial training at the district level. So in our proposal, the district level supports are designed to support a skillful and cohesive alignment across the district, and includes components such as participating in our National Principal Supervisors Academy, quarterly strategic planning, supervisor implementation clinics, and executive coaching. The second pillar is cohort by cohort focus school supports. So we have worked with Dr. Levy-David and Dr. Avery to identify the first cohort that would receive these services in year 1. And those services include additional professional development, as well as virtual and on-site coaching to really accelerate the impact of the work. And then finally, the third pillar of our proposal is at the teacher level. So the teacher professional education programs that I mentioned previously are designed to work in alignment with our leadership programs to really create that district-wide alignment in terms of language, in terms of purpose, and all 3 levels within a district receiving aligned training is what we have found to be kind of the secret sauce of driving results. So these 3 pillars work in tandem together, and they will roll out each year intentionally to support a gradual and scalable impact of the work. So what that means is in year 1, there'll be a focus group of district leaders, a focus group of core cohort leaders and teachers. And then in year 2, we will implement similar supports with the next cohort identified by the district to receive that training. I also want to note that within all of these pillars, we have centered in the proposal strategic opportunities for board members or other key stakeholders to participate in the work and have the opportunity to see the work in action, to really be able to understand the impact and how we can all work together to really drive student outcomes. So those strategic components where the board members and other stakeholders can participate are being included in the proposal at no additional cost. So as I mentioned, these supports, these pillars are designed to work every year and roll out intentionally and strategically to gradually implement the work across the entire district. So that concludes the very high level summary of our proposal. I do want to highlight that if I am able to share this presentation, I've included some more detail about the research, the case studies, the impact that we have had with our other partners that I would encourage you all to explore in more detail. But that concludes the high level summary that I have prepared, and happy to take any questions.
I just can't see your last name on the screen. Maines?
Maines,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the way it's going to work, I'm only going to open up the floor to committee members. Board members will have the opportunity during the regular board meeting to participate if they have any inquiries. And so I will open the floor up to Mr. Woodson if you have any questions.
No, not at this time.
I'd like to share a little bit.
Dr. Levy-David, if you can share.
Mr. Maines, I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. and for prioritizing sharing this information with the board. I know that this is being shared at a very high level, but I definitely want to be able to share just how critical this piece is to the transformation of schools here in Bridgeport Public Schools. We have had many years of basically neglecting the growth of our teachers, the growth of our administrators, and that has had a very severe impact on the ability to attain success for our students from K through 12. And that has led to a third of our schools being in turnaround status. And so I'm very familiar with your work. I had the privilege and the honor to meet Paul Bambrick Santoyo in 2011, and I attended one of the very first conferences and seminars that he was delivering on leverage leadership and driven by data at that time, which was the first book that I believe he published. And I have long been an adherent of this work and seen the very powerful impact that it has on entire learning communities and also on parents and their understanding of how instruction works and how students learn and the importance of ensuring that we're maintaining those skill sets very sharp. So again, I just want to thank you. I'm really excited about the prospect of partnering with you and bringing this to Bridgeport. And I can only hope that our board will consider you very strongly for this process so that we can begin the process of turning our district around. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll speak to it. In my past life, I was a teacher, and some of the members in my Teach for America cohort continued their careers in education and actually went through Relay Graduate School.
Oh.
So I know you're in New York City because that's where some of my friends were teaching, and that's where they were trained under Relay. And it seems that you also have experience, you kind of pointed it out with DC public schools. What other large districts are is Relay a part of? Just so can kind of have that out there for the national. I know there's a national presence.
Yes.
But I think for the public at large, knowing that it is a national research based, I want to make sure that's emphasized, as well as working in large urban districts.
Absolutely. So DCPS is one example. We also have a long-standing partnership with New York City Public Schools, and we have similar results that we could share about our partnership there. It takes a very similar approach where we combine professional development with targeted coaching to really drive results over multiple years and being really strategic about the rollout to build it over time. So those are the two largest, but we have partnerships with districts around the country in most states. And we also have an entire teacher preparation arm of Relay. We have a really strong presence. So that is our the programs where we offer master's programs, teacher certification. We have a really strong presence in Connecticut with our teacher preparation programs at Relay.
Okay, my next question, again, definitely for the public, but how long does it typically take a district to see growth or any type of results? Like in the cohort for year one, have you seen growth in the districts you supported?
Absolutely. So it looks a little different partner by partner, but we often see results right away. And often our participants, especially in our national programs like the National Principal Supervisor Academy and the National Principal Academy Fellowship, our participants share that they're able to immediately put into practice what they're learning and immediately see results in their classrooms. So even within the first year, often those ELA and math scores go up, but also the participants themselves are self-reporting that they see direct results immediately in their schools.
Now, again, I know the reputation, but can you just emphasize for the public what is targeted coaching and why professional development for teachers is critical, especially to turn around a school district?
Absolutely. So I'll take the professional development piece first. So really creating alignment in terms of how teachers and leaders work together across the system to focus in the same areas that have been proven to drive results. That alignment is really key. So training all of the leaders and teachers in the same levers of leadership and the same approaches to instructional leadership helps create systems and structures that work in tandem across a district to drive results. So for example, one of the elements of our key levers of leadership is observation and feedback. So taking all of the learnings that we have from our research from partners around the country in terms of what is the most effective structure to set up for leaders to observe and provide feedback to their teachers to drive high quality instruction. That's one example of a lever that works in tandem with other levers like weekly planning meetings that focus on taking data and using that data to inform future instruction. So we have key levers that have been proven to be effective in all types of partners around the country. And the key to that success is that alignment. So I mentioned the vertical alignment, where district level leaders all the way down to teachers are speaking the same language, have the same frameworks, the same purpose. That is where we are able to see the most results because everyone is rowing together in support of all students.
Thank you. I have a question for the superintendent. For Bridgeport Public Schools currently, is our professional development and alignment building district-wide, or is it vary building to building? So this would be a benefit.
It varies from building to building. It varies in consistency, it varies in offerings, and it also varies in depth and breadth of what is offered for teachers from building to building. So currently, if you were to go to one particular school, their focus could be completely different from what is being done in another school. And it doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't helpful, useful, or good, but it may not be what they need to be leveraging in order to support the growth of all students.
And for the public, what is teacher capacity?
Teacher capacity is the compendium of skills, aptitudes, and also values that teachers bring to the classroom in order to teach every single day. And that capacity is not static. It's not something that occurs only when teachers gain their certification and graduate from college, but it's something that has to grow from year to year because the needs of students change over time. And since the pandemic, they have changed even more rapidly and more urgently. And so the skills that teachers had prior to 2017 are outdated based on the needs of our students now in 2023. So that teacher capacity, although it may be present, requires frequent updates, requires sharpening, requires continuous transformation and growth in order to continue to be impactful to the students that we serve each and every day.
And that Mr. Maines, how frequently does Relay look into, I guess, the latest trends to keep up? I believe you mentioned it in your presentation, but just again for the public.
Absolutely. We're constantly looking at trends, and because the benefit of our national reach is that we are able to consistently learn from our partner schools and continuously refine our frameworks and our approaches based on what we are finding is driving the most impactful results. And to the point about the pandemic, that's a key component. We're consistently responding to that. And the frameworks that we have now look a little bit different than what they were before the pandemic because we've incorporated the consistent learnings that we're able to access through our wide network of partners from around the country.
Okay. Mr. Woodson, do you have any?
No.
Okay. So I'm looking at the contract, and I guess the only question I have in terms of, is this a 3-year contract?
So we have shared a 3-year proposal that has a scaled scope of work for all those 3 pillars that I mentioned in the presentation.
I'm going to have Dr. Avery answer that question.
Okay.
Hey, actually, I'm working with Tim on that 3-year. Did you send that to me today, Tim?
I haven't provided the pricing, but the scope of work is confirmed.
Right. Is that the 1 year that we've gotten in front of you right now is what's going to happen every 3 years with a cohort of schools coming through until all schools are addressed. But the pricing, he's working on that, and he's going to get that to me next week. And talking to Marlene, she is wanting to look at a
3 year.
A 3 year in order to have a better pricing point for the board to consider.
When would that, I guess,
when would you have the updated pricing?
Yeah, when would we have the updated pricing?
At the latest, early next week. We're hoping to get it by the end of this week.
Oh, that's pretty rapid. So then that can be considered. Also, this is also going to be presented at another committee level, just so it reaches, it's not just a contract, but it's really impacting instruction and student support services. So that information should be available by that committee meeting. I'm excited about this. It's great, but I have a question for the superintendent. Has Bridgeport, to your knowledge, been involved with a national research-based program for professional development as well as teacher development?
Not to my knowledge. I think that perhaps maybe one at a very limited scope in years prior, if I understand that correctly, but not recently, and certainly not in any way that impacted the entire district.
Yeah, I think just with the pandemic, the state of the district, this is something that's necessary. And because there's another layer with another committee, I have no problem making a motion to enter into an agreement with Relay. It will also be subject, it will still, if this motion is approved, it will still go forward to the full board, but there'll be another presentation to the Instruction and Support Services Committee when they meet. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to enter into an agreement with Relay.
Second the motion, make a motion.
It's been made by Mr. Woodson. I'll second it. All in favor? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any objections? Any abstentions? Hearing none. It's been approved on the Contracts Policy, Personnel, and Contracts Committee. Look forward, and hopefully this goes through with the full board. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible referral to the full board for approval to enter into an agreement with Hanover Research. So I cannot see any names.
I'd like to speak before, I'd like to say a few words before you begin your presentation, if that's okay. And then I'll allow you to introduce yourselves. But I want to talk a little bit about why it's so important to have this piece in addition to the work that we're doing with Relay. Oftentimes when there is a district-wide implementation of an approach to improve schools, to build teacher capacity, to build leader capacity, one of the pieces that may be absent is the planning and the assessment of the progress of those pieces in order to make very informed decisions about the journey, the path, and when we need to actually make changes to continue to experience success or address any barriers that may be getting in the way of that success. Hanover Research has a long history, reputable national history, as one of the best researchers in the nation to support education. And as you know, I am very happy to have the opportunity to present this to our board and to present this to our public here in Bridgeport Public Schools. And it's really critical to be able to have Hanover as partners, not only because of that opportunity to provide us with that assessment, but also because of the research and resources that they provide as we are working through this process of building teacher capacity and building leader capacity. We have many entities throughout our district that require the support. We have many systems that we have to rebuild if they were ever existent in Bridgeport Public Schools. And Hanover provides those resources to build out effective systems, not only with student services, with student discipline, with special education, but many other areas where we provide services for our students. And so having them working hand in hand with Relay would ensure that we're able to not only implement change that is successful, but change that is adaptable and sustainable and responsive to the immediate needs of the organization. So with having had that said, I'd like for you guys to introduce yourselves and share a little bit more about Hanover.
Sure. My name is Lindsay Howe. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm a senior director at Hanover Research. I've been working with district leadership for the last several months. And my colleague, Brian Miller, he's the managing director at Hanover. He's also joining us here. And really, the conversations that we've talked about the district, with district leadership about, are to use research to inform the following priorities: instructional practices, data literacy and assessment, program evaluation, specifically programs added under ESSER funding, and an analysis of staffing and HR district-wide. Tonight, I'm really planning to share an overview of Hanover Research and how we support districts like Bridgeport, our model of support, and an overview of planned deliverables for Bridgeport. I'd also like to note too, we have a really long history of working with many districts across Connecticut, including also the Connecticut Department of Education. Hanover Research is a custom research and professional services firm specializing in K-12 education. We work with about 400 districts nationwide through a membership model, including several districts in Connecticut. Currently, we support districts in 4 key areas outlined here. On the left, what we're best known for is our custom research. We work with districts to design custom research support to improve outcomes. Common methodologies include surveys, focus groups, in-depth interviews, data analysis, best practices, and peer benchmarking. We have over 200 different areas of research expertise on our staff. Advisory services there in the orange. This, really think of this as implementation support and action planning for district leadership. A member of our senior research team leads workshops and leadership consults to empower your district leadership to make informed decision-making using the completed research. The Educator Learning Center.
Lindsay.
Oh, yeah.
1 second, Lindsay. Is there a way to make that bigger on the screen so that we can actually see it?
I can try here. Here we go. Whoop.
Thank you, Lindsay. I was feeling my age there for a second.
No, that's okay. Thank you for stopping me there. Our Educator Learning Center, this is a district-wide professional development platform that includes self-paced courses like classroom management, social emotional learning, instructional design, and others, all derived from research. This is a tool used to drive staff development and retention. And then over to the far right, Hanover Digital. This is our library of syndicated research tools, discussion guides, peer benchmarking best practices across all K-12 topic areas, regardless of where we're doing research in the district. Right now, several district leaders have access to our Hanover Digital Library and have been downloading resources. Here, this is an overview of how our approach to research exists. We complete research sequentially as part of a queue, meaning we create a scope of work that includes a series of research projects that build and inform off one another. At Hanover, we take a mixed methods approach to provide comprehensive research. So, for example, a survey can tell us a lot, but layered in with qualitative feedback, such as in-depth interviews, really expands our understanding of perception data of various constituent groups. We very much consider this a partnership, so there's a lot of input from district leadership on topic areas and types of research when we're developing that scope. In many cases, we're continuously adjusting the scope based on the district's needs. After the conclusion of each research project within the queue, Hanover debriefs key findings and recommendations, trains district leadership on any use of deliverables, things such as dashboards, to really ensure that they know how to interpret data and use it. We also have the ability to create capstone deliverables to inform constituent groups such as the school board. And this really showcases progress and impact occurring from the research. Here on the next slide, this is an overview of our suggested support based on 4 key areas that the district has highlighted as priorities. So high quality instruction, or what we like to refer to as an instructional audit of various practices, data literacy and assessment, staffing and an HR analysis, and program evaluation. Also linked within this presentation, I believe I sent this to Dr. Avery prior, but this is really detailed project descriptions. We go through each priority area, and you're going to see anywhere from 4 to 10 specific research projects within that priority area. We're suggesting that the district engage in 2 queues of research that includes our advisory service. This equates to about 8 to 12 completed projects annually. And as part of this, the district will have access to 13 hours of workshops and leadership consults, as well as access to the Hanover Digital Library. Through ongoing conversations, we finalized that scope to prioritize the greatest impact on the district. More specifically, the district leadership has expressed a desire for Hanover to use research to assess teacher efficacy, especially as it relates to Tier 1 instruction, understand the use of assessments and grading practices across the district, for Hanover to complete a data analysis of student outcomes district-wide that look at academic, programmatic, and demographic indicators of success, also to visualize achievement gaps. This would likely be delivered through a dashboard. And this has the ability to visualize data at various levels, including school, grade level, district-wide, comparison purposes, and a year-over-year analysis of student outcomes. Third-party evaluation of ESSER-funded programs to determine fidelity of implementation and return on investment of those programs for further budgeting, and the positions created to understanding staffing needs, as well as strengthen data literacy practices district-wide. Shown in the next few slides is our suggested timelines. So I just want to note that each research project takes about 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the type of methodology used. And again, projects are completed sequentially as part of a queue here. So here for timelines year 1, you'll see that we have this outlined by priority area. However, just note that we can mix priority areas as well too. So in year 1, we may be looking at a student outcomes analysis and dashboard. So this is where I was talking about looking at the district as a whole from a demographic, academic, and programmatic component. Then a data use survey, really understanding how our teachers and how our staff members, how our building level leaders able to understand and utilize data district-wide. We know that they have lots of data at their hands. Streamlining the assessments tool, so really understanding what assessments are being used and what systematically that looks across the district. Best practices in district assessment systems. So we have the ability through our just our nationwide footprint where we look at what the literature says and what the experts say. And then we also look to aspirant districts of what best practices are in various topic areas. And the other area there, data use workbook. So the idea of taking the data from the student outcomes data and putting it into a workbook format to allow district leaders to really take an assessed look at key priority areas for data and what it means to their particular role. Within these timelines, we've put together a 2-year timeline here, knowing though that the scope can be adjusted and adapted over time. I would like to impart that we have talked to the district leadership about delivering a 3-year, multi-year agreement. So with the goal being that we can maintain pricing across those 3 years. I'm going to pause here and look for questions.
Mr. Woodson?
No questions for me right now.
I have questions, but I'd prefer to just ask it at the end of the presentation.
Okay. And would you like me to review fees or proposed options for funds for this for the district?
Yes.
Okay. So we've put together two different options for the district. So this is option one. And just to note, Hanover works in a membership model. So which really means just an annual agreement with a district here. And we recommended based on the preference of district leadership that we would work within our strategy model, which includes two queues of research occurring simultaneously based on the number of priority areas and the need for research there. And this also includes our advisory services. So the idea that a senior researcher can lead the district leadership in implementation, and then access to Hanover Digital. So we anticipate that the district would have multiple logins for pretty much all of district leadership to access that. The district does have the ability to add focus groups. Focus groups happen while research is occurring. And that would be an annual price there. We anticipate that this is going to include about 8 to 12 different completed projects. The second option here is in the event that the district wanted to add additional queues of research. So we've identified the 4 priority areas. So the district may consider doing priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, priority 4, and having Hanover deliver research on all 4 priority areas there. And that equates to $230,000. And it includes research, our advisory services, and access to Hanover Digital. And that concludes my presentation there. So any questions are welcomed.
So my question is, and some of my questions is more for the public to truly understand, what do you mean by qualitative feedback?
That's a great question. So qualitative feedback, some of the more common areas are in-depth interviews. So on surveys, we tend to consider that quantitative feedback. So we use a Likert scale. So we might pose a question and say, option 1, option 2, option 3, 4, 5. So we can quantify that. Qualitative is quite a bit more fluid. We're able to capture quite a bit more in terms of feedback coming from participants that's candid in nature. When we're delivering in-depth interviews, we're also looking for salient points, so high topic points, and we'll continue conducting in-depth interviews until we're starting to hear the same themes over and over. Another option are focus groups. So focus groups are conducted in small groups of up to 12 participants where we're talking to them about a single topic area. And so you may be doing a staff focus group, you may be doing a family focus group or a student focus group.
Okay. My next question is, what is included in an instructional audit and what does that look like?
Sure. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. There's a lot of text on here. Okay, so, but I know that Dr. Avery, I'll try to.
Lindsay, you're breaking up.
Oh gosh.
Having a connection issue.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Now she looks like she's completely frozen.
Uh-oh. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. There's a lot of text on here. I've also sent this to the district in advance, but an instructional audit includes, so this is what we've identified here. So interview with principals and teachers. Yes.
Lindsay, we're having a lot of difficulty hearing you.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Sorry?
So can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. And
Yes, we can hear
you
you.
can hear me? Okay. So it was weird because I could actually hear Lindsay just fine, but it seems like you guys are having issues hearing her entirely. So, Lindsay, do you want to pull that visual back on in regards to the instructional audit? And then, Lindsay, do you want to try one more time? And then if not, I'm happy to walk through this.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes, no?
No?
If you asked us a question, we definitely did not hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so I'll try and jump in. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes.
No, you're breaking up just as equally.
Okay. Should we try to log out and log back in? Does that seem like a...
Right now, it's working for you.
Right now
So,
okay.
I'm reading all the way out to multiple places on the internet. It's not precise.
What was that?
No,
we,
if you want to try to log out and log back in, I think that might be helpful just to see if we're able to get back to hearing you clearly.
Okay.
They can hear us. If they're using a VPN and they're both on the same VPN, that probably could.
They're in different parts of the world, so they can't be using the same VPN, I don't think.
No, I mean, that's actually why they would probably have problems, because they would be using a different connector.
Okay.
It's sad because if we get off the VPN.
All right. Can you all hear me?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Can you just talk us through it, Lindsay, instead
Yes.
of trying to display it at the
Sure.
same time? That might be helpful.
Yes. So essentially, when we're talking about an instructional audit, we're looking at macro level instructional practices. We're also looking to identify teacher efficacy. So do teachers believe that they can deliver upon what's being asked of them? And so we're looking at this through the lens of first staff and district leadership. Do they understand the tools that are available to them? Are they able to effectively use those tools? And how can we best support them? When we're looking at those practices too, we're saying from a high level, can we utilize those tools for actual instruction, and can they? So the big piece here is fidelity of implementation on high level instructional practices. So then our goal through this is to identify across the district, is there a systematized way that teachers are approaching instruction? And so this allows us to identify gaps and opportunity areas, especially when it comes to professional development or the previous presentation with coaching and implementation practices there. We also have the ability then to take a lot of that research and build out tools for teachers. So think rubrics and discussion guides, or even communication of what does high quality instruction look like at Bridgeport? What are the defining characteristics of quality tier 1 instruction? I'll pause here and just seek that I answered your question there.
Yes.
Perfect.
My next question, you mentioned that there's a comparative analysis so the district can see if we're receiving a return on investment for what I understand. Huh?
It's our funding.
Oh, for ESSER funding. Oh, well, that's almost done. Well, then that kills that question. Is the research done, I guess, in real time, like just for an understanding for the public, like how this works, especially this is new?
Sure.
So.
Sure. So we have the ability to do longitudinal analysis. And we also have the ability to do real-time analysis. So for example, based on the data that Bridgeport already has, we have the ability to take a look at, just for example purposes, let's say the last 3 years of student outcome data. We can look at that from a demographic perspective, access to, gifted and talented programs, special education, things of that nature. So then that way we've got a baseline of data available to us. So when we're starting to do data analysis of now and future years, we can pinpoint where inputs have made an impact at the district. We also do a lot of best practices and peer benchmarking. So that's essentially research that's occurring outside of the district to inform district decision making.
I don't have any more questions for you guys, but I do have a question for the superintendent, and I think you already answered it. Okay. But I've heard the terminology research thrown out a lot so far in this meeting. Mm-hmm. Can you differentiate what's the research being done by Relay and what's the research being done by Hanover?
Absolutely.
And why you think it's imperative for the district?
Absolutely. The research being done by Relay relates to the practices and implementation of the program, of their proprietary program that they will be sharing with our teachers and the training that they'll be doing with our teachers. Because as they implement, they're also researching the effectiveness of what they're implementing. And they're learning from the challenges that are specific to Bridgeport and writing research based on that specific challenge that we're encountering in Bridgeport. The difference between Hanover and Relay is that Hanover is looking at Bridgeport as an entire system, not only the implementation of Relay and how we're working well with the providers and the implementation on the ground side, but how other systems in the district that we have, how our teacher recruitment and retention is working along with the implementation of Relay, how our special education programs are being served as we're implementing the program of Relay, how all of the other instructional systems from pre-K to 12 are working effectively with the work that we're doing with Relay over the next 3 to however long we continue the relationship with Relay. And they're able to very quickly pinpoint trends across our district of things that may be working really, really well and things that we may need to change, address, or add in order to support all of those other systems. Systems work independently unless there is alignment of systems. And in our district, because of the long history that we've had of not having that intentional attention to alignment, we have a lot of different things that are working independently of one another. And we are seeing a lack of return on investment based on those pieces that are not working well. And so the value of having an organization like Hanover supporting us is that we can have them individually assess those pieces and see how we can better align the work that human resources does with payroll, the work that special education does with our providers and maybe even our out of district placement partners that we have. So it's a broader range of assessing our systems versus just the implementation of Relay, if that makes sense. Oh, we have a lot of other issues that are very different challenges than just delivering teacher capacity and improving instruction.
Thank you. And then just for the public, is Hanover a national research firm, and has it worked in the past with other large urban districts?
Yes. I've got a list for you. In Connecticut, currently, we work with Stamford, we work with Norwalk, West Hartford, the Connecticut Department of Education. Nearby, we work with Worcester, other comparable districts, Syracuse in New York, South Orange Maplewood in New Jersey, Woodbridge Township in New Jersey, Cherry Hill, Red Clay in Delaware, Brandywine, North Penn in Pennsylvania.
You were ready for that question. Any other questions from committee members? Okay. Hanover will also present too, because this is critical to instruction and support services. So it'll be presented to at another committee level. So that way there's ample time for board members to review this, digest it. If there's more questions, another committee, as well as going to the full board if it's approved at this committee. I'm going to make a motion to enter into, a motion to refer to the full board for approval to enter into an agreement with Hanover Research. Do I have a second?
I was second.
Okay, the motion's been second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No. So hearing none, the motion passes. You'll be presenting to our Instruction and Student Support Services Committee, and will also present to the full board January 22nd the meeting starts at 6:30 p.m. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible referral to the full board to enter into agreement with Hey Tutor.
Come on over.
Nope. Yes. You're welcome.
So good evening, everyone.
Evening. Mr. Planas.
This is Herminio Planas, and I'm the Director of Mathematics. It's an honor to be here sharing this information with you and getting approval to move this project to the next stage. My goal is to acquire board approval to engage in a contract with Hey Tutor and to provide tutoring services in order to provide tutoring services for Geraldine Johnson and Fairchild Wheeler. This project came from the Connecticut State Board of Education. It's part of the high dosage tutoring grant that went out this past summer. So our district, like other districts in Connecticut, applied for this tutoring grant opportunity, and we were happy to receive funding for this project. We know that given the extensive impact of the pandemic, given all the different changes that our students have been through, that our students need ways, we need to have ways to identify ways to help them move forward, especially mathematics. Mathematics, as you know, was one of the areas that was hit the hardest during the pandemic. And so the Connecticut State Department of Education allocated $10 million from the ARP Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund to allocate for this grant for grades 6 through 9 students. So why 2 schools? The reason why 2 schools is because we knew that one of the logistics from one of the requirements, one of the ways that they were going to choose the school systems were by the amount of ESSER dollars that we received in the past. So the schools districts that received the most will receive, less amount of money than others that receive less. So we wanted to be competitive and we wanted to ensure that we received some funding. So we applied for just 2 schools. I believe we are talking about 480 students altogether. And so for grades 6 through 9, we received $240,500 to cover tutoring fees, supplies, equipment, and other expenses. The Hey Tutor part is $211,970. And the other parts, again, are for the other areas that we provided. And so I have on the line Gabe Ning, who is a representative from Hey Tutor, who will provide more information about this program. But before he goes, I wanted just to share with you that some of the things that we wanted to keep in mind is that we wanted an in-person program. We wanted to make sure that we had a live person in front of our kids. There were vendors that were chosen by the grantees. And so we had less amount of vendors on the in-person side than on the virtual side, but we knew that because of our experiences, we knew that in person will be much better for our students, and it works a lot better. We also knew that that the ratio that we wanted and the ratio that was asked by the grant was 1-to-3 to 1-to-5. We wanted to shoot more for the 1-to-3 side because we know that that has more impact on our students. And why Johnson and Fairchild Wheeler, you wonder? Well, Johnson, because they have a lot of different population of students. You know, they have had a lot of students that are bilingual students, multilingual learners that are coming into that school. We have a big special ed population that is in that school. So we have a lot of need in that school. And even though they've been producing well, they could use the boost that a project like this will give them. And also Fairchild Wheeler, even though, you know, we say, well, Fairchild Wheeler, you know, they're magnet school, you know, they're producing almost at the same level as Central High School. And we wanted to ensure that the teachers that were working with these tutors were teachers that have been there for a while. So in Fairchild Wheeler, last year, we only had one teacher that was that had turnover. So we chose Fairchild for that reason. And we included, because all three principals agreed to this, we included the entire ninth grade body into this population. Again, 20 to 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week, rotating groups. I have already received, if you approve it, I already received schedules from the principals to begin this endeavor. We were going to utilize the WIN block. The WIN block is what I need block. Is a way of us interlacing and providing specific knowledge to students to support all of our students. We're going to utilize data to gauge student progress, and our focus is going to be on the skills that are needed for that tier 1 instruction. So we're not going to start from the very bottom and just practice multiplication and division and skills that were, you know, far back. We want to ensure that whatever we're training those students to do during this tutoring is something that they are going to need right away for that tier 1 to access that tier 1 instruction. We wanted also to ensure that the tutors have time during the week to meet with the teachers. And so that has been specifically provided in the schedule. And for more reason for choosing more seasoned teachers, because those teachers already know the curriculum well, and they will need less training, and they could make modifications very quickly. It doesn't mean that we're going to leave the other schools out. There might be a second round of this grant. And so we wanted to start here, sort of like a pilot, to ensure that we have a good beginning and a solid way to show the state that we could do this well in Bridgeport. So I'm going to leave you with Gabriel, and he is going to take you through the Hey Tutor in-person tutoring service.
Thank you so much, Mr. Planas. My name is Gabe Ning. I'm Director of Partnerships with Hey Tutor. I've worked hand in hand with Mr. Planas for the past couple months to specifically craft this program to meet the exact needs for Bridgeport Public Schools according to the stipulations of the Connecticut High Dosage Tutoring Grant for grades 6 through 9. Just a little bit about us. I know Mr. Planas already talked a lot about the composition of the program, so I'm just going to stick to what we do as a company. So we provide high dosage tutoring and to general education populations, and we do paraprofessionals and ESL/multilingual tutoring. So the two aspects that interested Bridgeport the most is the high dosage general education tutoring and then the high dosage ELL tutoring also. Regarding some of our partners, so we have a long history. We've been in business for the past 10 years, originally as a business to consumer company. We found tutors for parents for their children, and now we work with 70 plus districts across the country, and have already worked with more than 500 schools and worked with 20K plus tutors. Some of our biggest partners that reflect the urban population of Bridgeport and the composition would be Inglewood USD. We've also worked with Austin ISD. Our biggest partner right now is LA USD, the second largest school district in the nation. We've also worked with Milwaukee Public Schools, Minneapolis Public Schools, Waukegan Public Schools inside the suburbs of Chicago, and so on. So we have a wide array of experience, specifically with urban schools, along with suburban schools and even rural schools. For us, we have been essentially, so our flexibility is quite large. So we have the ability to work before school, during school with the push-in or pull-out model, after school, and even on weekends and summer school. When it comes to our scheduling, we follow something called block scheduling. That's approximately 20 hours per week for each of our tutors, and that could look many different ways. That could be 5 times a week, 4 hours a day, 4 times a week, 5 hours a day, or any kind of combination thereof. The main reason for this is everything we do, whether it's on our ELL side or in our high dosage general education tutoring side, is going to be in person. That's something we're very proud of, being able to bring in-person tutors from the local or neighboring district community. So for us, in-person high dosage tutoring is always the answer. We are flexible in the sense that, like I mentioned, we can help at any time in the school day. And we do fit the high dosage tutoring model structure. So that's going to be approximately 3 times a week minimum at 30-minute to 1-hour sessions per student. And that's really to make sure that students get the most out of each session. This is the proven high dosage model that works best with tutoring based on the research currently out there from multiple think tanks. So that's something that we are specializing in, and that actually fits with this grant. We've been recovering unfinished learning and focused on academic long-term gains. And we essentially are a one-stop solution in the sense that our price point entails the entirety of the program. So from start to finish, we take care of hiring. We also take care of day-to-day managing through our project managers. They'll be talking to each individual school site and individual point of contact at each school site, along with each tutor, to make sure that the daily program runs smoothly. Then we have on the upper level, our customer service management team. They'll be talking to district leaders such as yourself, and they'll be giving high-level updates, either bi-weekly, monthly, however often you'd like. And they'll also be open to feedback that we can help improve the program in real time. So that's our 2-tier level communication. In addition to that, we take care of all taxes, taxes, insurance, payroll costs, and hiring fees. All this is included in our cost. In terms of qualifications of these individuals, so we have a very high qualification that we want to aim for the highest qualification possible short of certified teachers. So we make sure to have 3+ years experience in either a classroom setting or private tutoring setting. We also make sure to have vast majority have at least a bachelor's degree. And then we partner directly with your HR department to do national level background checks according to Connecticut state standards, along with fingerprinting, and if it's required in the district, TB testing and COVID testing. So we're also able to do physicals or drug testing if that's required in the district also. When it comes to the curriculum we do provide, so we have a high level of vetting support, safety support, and we do block scheduling. But in terms of the curriculum we supply, so we usually have one of 2 options for our partners. So about 30% of our district partners utilize their own curriculum, and we have our tutors acclimate to that and utilize an hour during the out of the 20 hours per week for each tutor to get with either the point of contact or the teacher at the school site and make sure that the curriculum is being followed week by week, and to make sure everyone's on the same page. We have the other option. About 70% of our district partners utilize our curriculum to develop our in-house team of curriculum specialists. They'll have masters and PhDs in education, and it is going to be geared towards Connecticut state standards, K-12, ELA, and math. So in the sense of this grant, it perfectly fits within the confines of this grant. Within our curriculum, we do have 3 diagnostics. So we have the baseline diagnostic, the mid-year diagnostic, and then the end-of-year diagnostic. All these diagnostics and data points will be available to district administrators, such as yourself, as in this picture right here on the slide, through our built-in dashboard. So all district administrators will have access to this, including teachers, and that way you can see the progress and kind of a bird's eye view of the progression of the program. And when you compare it to other kind of data sets amongst other school groups too. So we make sure to have designated access for all. It's going to be available for district administrators, principals, teachers, and then real-time metrics. These are the usage statistics, attendance, grades on the assessments, even small checkpoint assessments too. We have performance tracking, and this is all resulting into a rich correlative data. We have a personalized learning plans, specifically focused on helping students get back to grade level and beyond. We know that because of the pandemic, a lot of students, especially on the middle school and elementary school level, have fallen behind, quite frankly, possibly a grade or 2 grades behind. And that's why we've developed our curriculum to specifically tackle unfinished learning based on pandemic learning loss. So that's something we specialize in that's reflected in our curriculum. When it comes to the other elements of our program, like I kind of touched upon, we hire from the local community. So these tutors are going to come from either your district or neighboring districts. And we're able to do this because we tap into multiple avenues that school district might not be able to. We tap into student alumni networks, college alumni networks, people we've already worked with in our past with all our partnerships, both virtual and in person, and we tap into consultants. So we have a wide array of hiring abilities, and we have a team specifically dedicated just to hiring, just like we have a team dedicated specifically to project management and a team dedicated specifically to customer service management. These are our 3 branches that we lean on the most to give the highest quality customer service and experience for each of our partners, no matter how large and no matter how small. Very finally, so that's pretty much kind of the overview of our program. For example, we've worked with many, like I touched upon, districts such as LAUSD. We worked with 45 plus school sites simultaneously in LAUSD, and we recently expanded in the fall in 2022. So excuse me. So we've been able to really help out in LAUSD. We've managed to ramp up in just a 6-week timeline to all 45 sites simultaneously. The very final thing I want to touch upon is I know that this meeting is to get the contract approved. We're looking at a 4 to 6 week implementation timeline from the date the contract is approved and that we receive a purchase order. And the main reason for this is we're getting high quality individuals from the local area. And we want to also include the background check time. So by the time the 4 to 6 weeks is done, they'll be fully implemented, ready to go at your school site, teaching your students. And the 4 weeks is closer to large urban districts such as yourself, and the 6 weeks is closer to smaller rural districts. We also integrate SEL learning based on the CASEL framework into all our sessions. So whether we use your curriculum or ours, we want to make sure to integrate SEL learning just to really make sure that each student is present during their session. This is something we learned from the pandemic when a lot of the tutoring was virtual. We've noticed, especially on the middle school and elementary school level, it's hard for students to sit there for hours on end, especially after entire days of instruction. So it's nice to just have a quick check-in at the very beginning of the session. And because the same tutor sticks with the same group of students or same student throughout the duration of the program, there is a strong bond built between the tutor and the student in terms of trust. These students tend to be able to talk about a lot of things with the tutor and be able to trust them with their academic journey. That's something we've seen in LAUSD, Austin ISD, and all our other partners. I'd like to open the floor up to any questions. I think that is the gist of our program.
Thank you, Gabe. I'll open the floor up to committee members. Sorry.
No questions from me so far.
Okay. First, thank you, Mr. Planas, for predicting a few of my questions. Also, Gabe hit a few of my questions in terms of working with large urban school districts. The qualifications for the tutors, that's good to know that we're looking for people with at least 3 years of experience, with at least a bachelor's degree. There's built-in time for a background check, so there's just not any person coming into the classroom. In terms of the backgrounds and qualifications for your tutors, one of our schools, and pretty much all of our schools though, do you look to see if they have any experience or certification working with English language learners or special ed students, since the populations of our students may need that type of support. So are your tutors at least prepared and prepped or certified with working with such a diverse population in terms of learning needs?
Yeah, so we have a lot of experience with the specific ESL/ELO populations, especially in urban districts. We've worked with a lot of bilingual programs. We have a bilingual program for Inglewood USD in Los Angeles too. So we specifically, if required by a district, we do specifically look for ELL bilingual students, tutors. So if, for example, you need Spanish speakers to help the population, we can find the Spanish speakers within the same timeline allotted, 4 to 6 weeks. And the only request we have is that before contracting, we're privy to what languages we need, so we can find the relevant people that are bilingual fully in that language.
Awesome. And then my question, this is a 1-year grant?
This is a 1-year grant, yes. So the remaining part, we have until January 2025 to utilize the funds. This quote is for 17 weeks. And since they need about 5 weeks to train the tutors and to find the specific tutors, we could carry over to the beginning of next year any remaining amount, any residual amount of money, and in order to get the tutors. We only pay for what the services we receive.
Okay. And silly question, but Hey Tutor, the amount is about $211,000. Our grant is for $240,000. So this is fully covered with no additional expense to the district.
Nothing.
Sounds good to me. Any comments or feedback, Dr. Levy-David?
No, I'm good.
Any questions, additional comments? I think this will be excellent for the students. So I will make a motion to refer to the full board for approval to enter into an agreement with Hey Tutor. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This will be referred to the full board on January 22nd, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, guys.
Thank you, Gabriel.
The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible referral to the full board for approval to enter into an agreement with Dreambox. Oh, let the record reflect that board member Albert Benahan is online.
So from Dreambox, I have Davis Hartley, and I have Carlos Panameño on the line. And also, Davis, what's your other colleague's name?
Christy Robinson is here. She is your implementation manager for, has been supporting you for Reading Plus.
Thank you, and I apologize for not knowing her name. In our district, we already have Reading Plus. Give you a little background about Dreambox. When I met our wonderful superintendent, she said, "Hi, my name is Dr. Levy-David, and what do you know about Dreambox?" And she always talks about, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Dr. Levy-David, but I can't take credit for this one. She always speaks. She always says that when she speaks to you, she's sort of interviewing you. So I think I failed my interview that same day because I didn't know anything about Dreambox, even though we had Reading Plus in our district. So obviously, like me, anybody knows me, I go and do my homework really quickly. So I learned very quickly about Dreambox and about the power of this program. The power that Dr. Levy-David spoke about when she spoke about, her daughter having this program and learning math during the pandemic and how much she grew with this program throughout. that was a very, very, to have your own child go through something like this, to me was very, very powerful. Because I have kids of my own that are in high school, and I could live that she was living at that time. So right away I started doing my homework, and I quickly found out that we have a couple of districts that have that program here. I found that we have Groton Public Schools using it, and as well as South Windsor using the program. So I started doing my research and my work, and I started finding that we do have a need for this program. Next year, our grades 6 through 12. Next year, our grades 6 through 12 are using Khan Academy this year, and those licenses are expiring at the end of the school year. So we definitely need something for these students in order to help them learn to do some homework at home, to have them practice skills that they might not have. But we just don't need just anything. We want something very powerful, and we don't want to field test anything with our kids. We want to use something that has been tried, that schools are using, and that is causing great results across those districts. So for that reason, we started looking very deeply at DreamBox. We knew that we were using Reading Plus in our district, and the high schools that were using it, as I spoke to high schools, this high school specifically, the principals here adore that program. They love and they look at the data and they see how each of their students are growing throughout very easily by looking at their reports. In addition, as you know, we implemented in K-6 the WIN block, what I need block. And so we need something that has actual resources that could be used in conjunction with our program. We do have a great HMH program, but we need something that works very well with it. And we found that this program, as you will see, works very well in conjunction with any program out there. And we need something that is computer-based, that is easy to implement, and that is a great tool for supporting all of our learners throughout. About DreamBox, so I'll let the experts speak about their program, and I just gave you a little background about why DreamBox in our district, and obviously I know you'll have some more questions about it. Take it away, guys.
Thanks so much, Tito, and I want to thank you all for the opportunity to present to you today. Again, I'm your sales representative at Discovery Education for our DreamBox learning programs, and I've thoroughly enjoyed being here to help support Bridgeport with your reading implementation this past year, and also working with Tito the past few months to build a plan to accelerate growth for your students in math achievement. And today I'm going to provide you with a high-level view of our why, also our efficacy, and our student and educator experiences. And if you would click 1 or 2 more times on that for me, please. Thank you. So I'd like to start with sharing the full scope of our partnerships and who we are as a math program. DreamBox Math is currently used by over 200,000 educators and 5 million students across all 50 states, Canada, and Mexico. DreamBox is a kindergarten through Algebra 1 fully digital math solution for all students that is designed to complement, enhance, and extend teacher-led instruction and accelerate student learning. DreamBox is designed to help support students at higher grade levels that are in MTSS or special education programs, which need that additional individual support. Our program is also available in both English and Spanish. DreamBox is the only tool that can capture student thinking, and it makes teachers' lives easier by mimicking the effects of a one-on-one tutoring session. We couple that with a continuous embedded assessment that generates a stream of actionable data and insights that make teachers more informed, more efficient, and therefore much more effective in their everyday practice. The embedded assessment works as a formative assessment that assesses student needs in the moment and provides support both within lessons and tailored next lessons.
Forgive me, David, may I interrupt a minute? You know, yeah. I apologize, but I think this is important because this program enables you to assess the student once at the beginning of the year, and they are assessed automatically throughout. So that decreases the amount of assessments that you have to do for students. And that's a big thing because we really, in Connecticut, we assess too much. So cutting down on that assessment and just getting to the nitty-gritty data that we need is essential. Sorry, Davis.
No, thank you. That's a great point. Every single lesson that students are working in is a formative assessment, and they're going to get scaffolding based on how they're working within those lessons to support their individual needs, as well as next lessons that are specifically tailored to support them. And, that could be a 5th grade student that needs some support at 3rd grade. We'll provide that additional support that drops them back to fill in those gaps. But within that same lesson, they might demonstrate some other concepts where they're demonstrating that they're more advanced in some areas, and we'll be able to provide next lessons to support that as well. This is a really important slide too, because research I think is really valuable. Independent research has been conducted on the efficacy of our math program by Harvard University and SRI International. We've also received research validation and recognition from STEMWorks, WhatWorks Clearinghouse, Digital Promise, and Mathematica Center for Improving Research Evidence. The recent independent research by Harvard revealed that students who use Dreambox on average for about an hour a week grew approximately 58% more than their peers who aren't provided access to our program. Dreambox Math has also received the same rating as Reading Plus by Johns Hopkins University's Evidence for ESSA, which has rated our math program as strong.
Thank you for
next
showing
slide, please.
evidence. Thank you for showing evidence beyond the superintendent loves it.
Absolutely. And if you go into the next slide, please.
Yeah, sorry. Whoop. I'm going to go back one. I apologize.
Yep. So Dreambox Math doesn't just assess right and wrong answers. What we do differently than other programs is that we assess the specific strategies students use to solve problems to truly differentiate on the specific needs of every individual learner. So we provide rigorous and engaging lessons to ensure your students build a deep and meaningful understanding of mathematics. And we're not going to waste time with students watching video lectures, guessing at multiple choice options, or just answering questions on digitized worksheets. Our lessons are going to provide open-ended, exploratory, and sense-making exercises that help ensure students develop deep conceptual understanding. We support students' critical thinking development by helping them identify mathematical structures and finding relationships between concepts. And we do this always in an engaging, fun, game-oriented approach. Dreambox will require students to apply the strategies that they've learned to build mental math fluency and automaticity. So Dreambox knows how valuable the minutes in a day are to a teacher, and we build our dashboard with this in mind. We're going to surface information that supports their one-on-one conferences, small groupings, and the teachable moments happening in their classroom. Your educators will notice many opportunities to play lessons embedded within their dashboards to be able to help further support their students. And our job is to provide your educators with vital data that is both meaningful and actionable. Your teachers are going to have the ability to connect directly with their students through the dashboard, receive alerts when students are struggling, and have access to valuable progress monitoring and proficiency data. Educators can also see commonalities among students and pull quick skills groups based on standards. We're going to help expand teacher capacity to meet students where they are to individualize math instruction at scale. They'll be able to use real-time data to know the right students to support with the right content at the right time. Your teachers will have flexible instructional models to support individual, small group, and whole group instruction. Educators will also have the ability or have visibility into how students think and learn regardless of time and place. Your administrators are going to be able to track progress and address math achievement opportunities through actionable, integrated assessments and curricular insights. The reporting suite will enable educators to monitor both usage and progress, track grade level proficiency, and target instruction individually and at scale.
That's the last slide here. I just wanted to add a few other things. We had a pilot at 3 different schools. We actually field tested the product because we weren't going to jump into something without really field testing it. So we had a multicultural Johnson at Discovery. I actually sat in and watched some of the classrooms utilize the program, as well as spoke to some teachers and students, and they love it. They love this program. It's a great program. In addition, I spoke to, I believe, the director of math at Chesapeake. Was it the director of math, David?
Yes.
Director of math at Chesapeake Bay, and spoke about the high school, because that was my major concern. In Chesapeake, they utilize this product to enhance the algebra and the knowledge of algebra throughout all classes. And so she has been using it for about a little longer than a year, and it has had a lot of great impact in that district. So we've done the homework in that sense. So I'll open it for any questions that you might have additional to this.
Any questions, Mr. Woodson?
Not here.
Okay. I have a few questions. Again, has Dreambox been used in other large urban districts?
Yes, we actually have a recent case study from William Penn School District in Pennsylvania. I think I sent you a copy of that, Tito, but I can definitely share that out as well. But I think that would be really helpful insight. Other big ones, we partner with LAUSD. We have large partnerships with state implementations with South Carolina and Montana as well.
Let's see.
And I can share a little bit about that too.
I just want to make sure I understood this. It's adjustable to student needs. I think you mentioned it during your presentation that it'll identify strengths, whether it's 5th grade math and certain things are in another level and certain strengths. So it's going to give a real time, I don't want to use real time, but an actual effective assessment of strengths and weaknesses in math per student.
Yes. Yeah. Every moment a child completes a lesson, they're going to get tailored specific next lessons that are specific to that student's needs. So within Dreambox, there's actually millions of different pathways that students could go through. The way our program works is it's not linear. Based on that constant assessment of student needs, you might have that 5th grader that's going to work in maybe 3rd or 4th grade, or again, maybe jumping up into some 7th or 8th grade content if they're showing that they're advanced in other areas. And a big part of that too really helps keep students engaged by giving them the appropriate level of support where they need it, but also moving them forward to help continue to challenge them. And we always want to make sure that it's a productive struggle for each and every student.
This is more of a question for the district staff here. When would this be utilized, during wind blocks or?
Yeah. We utilize the wind block. It's about 30 minutes during the day, as well as students could use it at home to boost their capacity, their mathematic ability.
Yeah, the program is completely portable. They can use it at home. They can use it anywhere that they have access to Wi-Fi.
Phone, tablet, everything.
And this would be for a district-wide implementation. Mm-hmm. So it's been piloted at 3 schools?
Correct.
All 3 schools gave back good reviews?
Good feedback.
I can share a little bit more about that as well.
Yes.
Just as Mr. Planas referenced, I have personal experience with Dreambox, and I actually met the president of the company at a conference at a time when my own daughter was having some struggles for the very first time in math as a result of interrupted instruction during the pandemic. And I was at a loss. I tried tutors. I tried other programs to help her. We tried Dad for a while and fired Dad because Dad wasn't working. And I came across Dreambox, and I said, you know what, can I try this out with my daughter? And the results that I was able to see with her after her first use, just her very first session using the program, and her reaction to what she was able to learn independently without dad or any interference from the adults in her life was incredible. The program adapts to exactly what the child is missing to be successful in whatever stage of their math development they are. And in her case, she'd had multiple months of interrupted learning as a result of us going to spring break and never coming back to school, right, until the fall. And that for a kid has a huge impact, especially at the elementary grades. And for a lot of adults, that gap could be in different places for different kids. So how do you meet all of the gaps that kids have? The beauty of Dreambox is that every single time the child engages with the program, it's assessing the child's development and it's tailoring what they're going to do next based on the result of that assessment. So it's not a program that works linearly in that right now we're going to do number sense and next we're going to do fractions. It really, no matter where the child is in their development, especially in those elementary and middle school years, it will address that gap. And it will continue to assess and address that gap until the student demonstrates mastery, which is really beautiful. So that was what was immediately attractive to me. And I went back to my peers and colleagues in my former district and said, you've got to see this. And we piloted the program at several of our schools where we really needed to help kids immediately, and we were able to see immediate results. And that led to us adding more schools to the process and then presenting it to every single principal in the district. So that's the power of Dreambox. Once you see kids' reactions, once you see how they are excited about being successful versus having failure, it's very difficult to deny them the opportunity to have access to this resource. And the fact that it has so many different pathways to show a student how to do math versus my husband's, linear division that he was trying to teach our daughter, which was not the way that her teachers were teaching her at school. Sorry, honey. And so those are the pieces that are really, really important. You have to be able to adjust the learning to the exact modality that works for that student. And that's what the program does. I don't know how it does it, but I love it.
I have a follow-up question. June 2000, this year, Khan Academy expires. Is there any price differentials? What is the price for Dreambox? The length of the contract we're looking to get into? And do we have a comparison to Khan Academy?
Great question. Khan Academy, we currently utilize it only from 6th to 12th grade. The price is really 1/3 of the price, but it doesn't have the power and all the different amenities that a program like this has. Plus, like Dr. Levy-David mentioned, it's very linear in the approach of mathematics. It doesn't allow for the conceptual understanding that this program does. And so we feel that this is going to be richer for our students.
With a program like Khan Academy, you still need a teacher
Right.
to support closing whatever gaps the student has because the program is not adaptable, if that makes sense. And it doesn't tailor what it's presenting to the specific needs of that learner. Dreambox does that.
Okay.
So I'm here to, man.
Yes,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Okay. So we're here today to ask for approval of the quote, which includes reading. And let me talk a little bit about that, because the way we got our price down was by extending that reading license and including both. And at the same time, we wanted the reading license expires, the Reading Plus expires in July 1st, 2025. So why would you have the same program with an expired license and then come back to you again? So why not have both licenses expire at the same time? So we want the reading services extended, which is in the quote, from 7/1/25, which is the part that we have not paid for, through 6/30/27, and then have the math from start now, and work through 6/30/27, so that they end at the same time. Our quote is for $1,026,332. The actual original quote was $1,226,000 and $332.81. I actually made a slide for that. And we received a sponsoring amount. Davis, can you speak about the sponsoring, please?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it a little bit too as well.
Or Carlos, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to share a quick video. We partner with global brands that really share in our vision at Discovery Education, which is now Dreambox is a part of our Discovery Education family. I would like to share just a quick video with you all to help showcase. Hopefully my screen is sharing now, and I think the sound is working. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good to go. All right, cool.
What if you could reach millions of students around the world and deliver authentic learning experiences for all?
Be tenacious. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your dreams.
Making real-world connections.
We didn't have our own family, but we were a family of sorts.
And creating the diverse and innovative workforce of the future.
There's no shortage of ideas of how you can work the way you want to work.
With best-in-class resources that help students achieve the future they want.
It is not the easiest thing to take a big honking piece of metal and then make it fly.
Inspiring students to tackle sustainability issues.
There's no doubt that the trees are the lungs of the earth.
With the skills to be the solution seekers of tomorrow.
Math and science and engineering, that's what powers the world.
Preparing students for tomorrow's careers through diverse, unforgettable perspectives.
I am a 3-time Paralympic medalist in wheelchair basketball for Team USA.
It's a kind of a funny thing for an astronaut to be afraid of heights. I held on very tightly for dear life.
And the most powerful instructional resources in the industry.
As you can see in the distance is the Washington Monument and the Jefferson Memorial.
These programs open our world and expose my students to places that they have never been. They're priceless.
This is an actual piece of the Berlin Wall that divided Germany until 1989.
I'm your guide to Edge at Hudson Yards. Get ready for the thrill.
Never be afraid of trying.
Energize the change makers of tomorrow.
Their creativity, their ingenuity, their innovation are going to enable us to solve the problems of the future.
Together, we can help create a brighter future for all of us.
So with thinking about some of those global brands coming together to really bring in and support and subsidize really some of the funding. I know a lot of times when you're looking at a district, you see pricing, you see a line item that lessens your cost. A lot of times it's viewed as a discount, but really we do have some really great corporate sponsors that have leaned in that really align to our corporate values. And are stepping in to supplement and cover that $200K for you all on your budget, which is pretty phenomenal and really cool and exciting to see.
Go ahead, Mr. Planas.
Two more points. First of all, we spoke about Khan Academy, and there's specific things that Khan Academy does well, and so I just don't want to give that away because there's specific things that if I had the time, there's specific things that I would use it for. And the second point is in terms of I asked a lot of questions about sole source, and this is a sole source product. And so I checked with our business office to ensure that we had a letter and that all that information was out there so that we could, we don't have to tackle that part. That part is already taken care of. And actually, I had a third thing, which is I spoke to Marlene about the funding because this is a big amount. and she is ready to utilize ARP ESSER, the remaining part of our ESSER to provide funding for this.
So, all in K through 12, reading and math, we have I'm going to use corporate sponsorship for 200K, so it's only $1 million.
$1,026,332.81.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. You gotta round that.
1.2.
For the value that we're getting, and this is another national research-based program. I know we're not Khan Academy, but for other programs, we're paying even more. So I think this is great. Do we have any further comments or questions from committee level? Oh, it's grades 7 through 12 for reading. Okay, want to clarify that for the public. Still a good value. I'll make a motion to refer to the full board for approval to enter into an agreement with Dreambox. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This will be referred to the full board. Thank you very much. The next board meeting, regular board meeting is January 22nd, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action to revise Bridgeport Public Schools hiring procedures policy for certified staff. So this was brought to the full board's attention during our training with legal on December 20th, 2023, that Bridgeport is amongst the minority of districts actually participating in the hiring of certified staff. Upon review, there's been a constant and flagrant violation of it, as the policy actually calls for the highest scoring 3 finalists to be interviewed by the Personnel Committee of the Board of Education in executive session. There are numerous YouTube videos where assistant principals have been interviewed publicly. So given that this is an outdated minority policy, it's not recommended. Also, upon some consultation from CABE, which is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, and since we have not had our policies updated in a significantly long period of time, this is one of the policies where we should look at as a district. I'm going to allow for the superintendent to provide some commentary whether this is although we're a minority in Connecticut practicing this, is this done by highly effective school districts where the board personnel committee steps in to interview candidates?
Absolutely not.
And what are some of the exposures you believe that runs the risk of having our certified staff interviewed live in public?
Well, anytime somebody exposes themselves to the vulnerable position of being interviewed, especially in a public forum, that is something. Interviews can go very well. Interviews can go poorly. Interviewing is a skill set. People learn how to interview over a period of time after much practice. And having an interview that does not go well in a public setting can certainly have a long-term impact on the employability of that individual, and consequently has a chilling effect on quality applicants taking the plunge to be interviewed in public. Many school districts, large and small, conduct interviews in either executive session or in private, and that is done with executive cabinet, the superintendent, and other members of the leadership team. And then those recommendations are made to the board in order to help to support the board with understanding the qualities that an individual brings to the table and why those individuals rose to the top of consideration. It is very rare and highly unusual to hold interviews with a school board in a public setting or online. And there's been a lot of controversy from larger districts that have that practice and have had some very heated and serious repercussions as a result from individuals that felt personally damaged by those experiences. It is not a practice that I recommend. It's not a practice that I would advocate for. And I think that individuals should have the opportunity to hold their interviews in a private setting. Superintendents, we certainly sign up for this level of scrutiny. We sign up for this level of attention. Assistant principals at the school level do not, and may not have had the level of practice and expertise that it takes to present in a polished manner in a public setting. And as an institution that supports the growth and development of individuals where we're building capacity, we want to provide individuals with the best possible opportunity to put their best foot forward when they're interviewing without the added pressure of having it done and published on YouTube.
Any comments from committee members?
No.
Okay. So this is a 4-page policy. I will move that we break this down policy by policy or page by page. So the first page deals with all levels, principals, assistant principals. I have no changes for teachers. So I'll entertain a motion to break it down by certified staff area. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? None here and all. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're going to break it down. So the first page deals with all levels. In particular, paragraph E for administrative staff, central office, senior leadership team. I move that we strike the current paragraph E, which states the highest scoring 3 finalists will be interviewed by the Personnel Committee of the Board of Education in executive session for recommendation to the superintendent. That paragraph is deleted in full. Paragraph F will become the new paragraph E, states the final interviews, the S in brackets, and decision will rest with the superintendent. Insert a new paragraph F. Presentation of the top finalists, bracket S, will be presented to the Board of Education in executive session only. Any discussion regarding that?
No.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor for the approval that for the administrative staff, central office, senior leadership team, the changes as discussed will be implemented. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The change has been approved on the committee level and will be presented to the full board. The next policy on page 2 deals with the principals. In particular, paragraph G contains the following language. At least 2 but not more than 5 finalists as scored by the school committee are sent to the school governance council. The school governance council will then interview and rank candidates. The results are sent to the personnel committee of the Board of Education. The personnel committee interviews and sends school governance council recommendations to the superintendent. I move that we strike the last 2 sentences, that the results are sent to the personnel committee of the Board of Education. The personnel committee interviews and sends the school governance council recommendation to the superintendent. That language is strike. Then in paragraph H, paragraph H stays the same, and I propose that we insert a new paragraph I. Presentation of the top finalists, S in parentheses, will be presented to the Board of Education in executive session only. Is there any further discussion on the committee level?
No.
Okay, we'll move forward for the implementation of that language on page 2 regarding principals as discussed. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion carries for principals. The next paragraph or the next section deals with assistant principals. Again, paragraph G states at least 2 but not more than 5 candidates based on the scores of the school committee and recommendation of the school governance council will be interviewed by the Board of Ed Personnel Committee. The recommendation of the school governance council will then be forwarded to the superintendent. I move that language pertaining to then will be interviewed by the Board of Ed Personnel Committee, striking out the interview process by the Board of Ed Personnel Committee. And then that's all the changes for paragraph G and the implementation of paragraph I. Paragraph I will read, presentation of the top finalists with an S in parentheses will be presented to the Board of Education in executive session only. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll make the motion for the changes as discussed regarding assistant principals. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion carries as discussed. I have no changes for the teachers, as already mentioned, which is on page 4. So we've approved revisions for all levels. I'm sorry, just want to make sure. All levels, administrative staff, central office and senior leadership team, principals, and assistant principals. It's been passed on the committee level and will now be brought forward to the full board for consideration. That is item 7. The last item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The meeting has ended. The time now is 8:43 p.m. Have a good night.